So stablecoins are probably the most important asset right now in crypto. They're important because they're used both by crypto traders and also by retail folks and so on and so forth. And so we have here on stage people from exchanges, credit card issuers, banks, and also crypto companies too, to talk about stablecoins. So let's do a quick intro, left to right. Who are you? Where are you from? And why do you use stablecoins at your company? Priscilla?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Priscilla Adams. I look after compliance for the Bullish Group, which also includes CoinDesk.
Yes.
And for us, it's a combination of what our users on the exchange are doing, what our treasury operations are doing, and looking at DeFi and what have you. So it's a pretty wide range from the institutional side and usage for stablecoins.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Rita, CEO of RD Technologies. So we do a few things around stablecoin. Everything we do is around stablecoin. So we're one of the 3 stablecoin issuers that are in this regulatory sandbox of Hong Kong MA in Hong Kong. So hopefully we're going to launch our stablecoin under Hong Kong's regulatory regime very soon. And we also run a payment platform that facilitates stablecoin on and off-ramp. Very nice to be here.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Nischint Sangvi. I take care of the digital currency business for Visa for Asia Pacific. Again, within digital currencies, and particularly stablecoin, there are a few areas. One is on the on-ramp side, where we make sure that Visa cards can be used to purchase stablecoins and other digital currencies. Off-ramping, making sure you're able to use your stablecoin at any of our 80 million merchants worldwide. We are also working on stablecoin settlement on USDC, working with our issuers and acquirers to ensure that we have another rail of making settlements possible. And then on early stage development with CBDC and tokenized deposits, along with stablecoin, I would call it all sorts of digital fiat. So that's the 4th thing we do as well. We're great to be here.
Good. Hi, everyone. This is Devin from CA Bank, one of the digital banks in Hong Kong. So our role about banking is more on the Web 2 agenda, to be honest. But in our side, we support on the stablecoin, maybe on the reserve side, on the fiat handling, and of course we think about how we can utilize this coming stablecoin, the RD we're talking about, to enrich our ecosystem, to facilitate something good use cases, so that in our side we can still benefit our retail and business customer.
For sure, great. So now for Visa, for you guys, what does that mean for you guys? Do you see this as a unique market for stablecoins, or is it like a one-size-fits-all for you? What do you think?
I think for us, our focus is to be a bridge between the digital currency ecosystem and the traditional players. So we want to connect all of the ecosystem to our 80 million plus merchants and 15,000 plus financial institutions. We do look at stablecoin as another payment rail and a new innovation technology that needs to be embraced and taken within our fold. The way we look at it right now is we transact in 160 currencies, we settle in 25 currencies. Can we look at stablecoin as one more? And again, within stablecoin, there are multiple flavors available right now.
Yeah.
And starting with USDC, we have already got some live pilots in, which we announced with players like Crypto.com, WorldPay last year. So that's what we want to continue to work on and see this growing to multiple sides of our business over the long run.
Because some might say, if I have stablecoins, why Visa? I can just pay you with USDC or something else like that. Why do we need Visa?
Yeah, I think today we do have a merchant network, and it's not very clear whether all merchants do want to accept stablecoins. The second thing is from a user experience perspective. Users are used to tapping their cards today, and it's a habit that it's hard to change. People can also scan QRs, which we have seen in China as well. But I think both of those use cases you see, if you have to get users to start with a completely new use case now and try to use stablecoin, it's a bit difficult. So I think we prefer that we have stablecoins embedded within our ecosystems. And today we have multiple use cases for stablecoin-backed cards, where you can use those cards at any Visa merchant. So that's automatically making sure stablecoins are being spent and the merchant can get the currency they want.
I guess the issue here is for the retail consumer, they might not know if it's being cleared by Visa or stablecoins or Octopus or Alipay or something. These are all rails behind the scenes which the average retail person doesn't know about, doesn't care about.
Actually, So I agree. All this, like conversation around retail or institutional use case is quite important topic actually. I think in Hong Kong, we all know it's a city of a few million people. So in terms of retail use case, I think it's relatively small. But for like just retail payment use case in general. I think like what you used to pay is quite important, right? So as Nishan mentioned, what Visa is very strong on is that they have all this acceptance network, right? All merchants have these terminals that accept Visa cards, so that's their mode, right? So for retail, that if you use a card to pay, it goes through the largest two payment networks, right? So or if you use Alipay to pay, you use Octopus to pay. Ultimately, the key here is who owns the acceptance network with merchants, right?
Right.
But with the institutional, it's different, right? So when we talk about institutional, it's corporates paying money to their buyers, the sellers, across the world, like big payment, like so it's quite different. So and we're talking about really different verticals, like e-commerce, trade, or B2B cross-border trade, all kinds of different verticals, like commodity trade. So I think when it comes to institutional, it's quite different from the retail use case, yeah.
I guess also with trust as well, because Verified by Visa is a brand we know for security, which is important for retail users. But for someone trying to pay an invoice for an SME, they won't care as much about that part. They care about, will it be fast, cheap, efficient?
Yeah, trust is very key.
For sure. So Rita, so you guys are a fairly small issuer of stablecoins, right? You're not USDC sized, you're not USDT sized. Do you feel that there's an advantage to being smaller? Or do you feel that without that size you can't compete? Like, does scale matter here?
Yeah, actually we're not smaller. We haven't launched our stablecoin yet.
Okay,
We're still in the regulatory sandbox, so that's why you cannot find our stablecoin on the chain yet. So I think as you know, in the past, especially past 12 months, there has been like a huge, wave of new entrants into stablecoin play, especially under the sort of compliant play, right? I think this is a new wave of stablecoin, like how to say, with the global backdrop of more and more regulation around stablecoin and exchanges and everything else. So I think the latecomers actually, I think, represent probably some new opportunities. Like I always say, the biggest two we have are actually like they came into existence like 6 to 7 years ago. So they have very strong first mover advantage. But I think this new wave of stablecoin players, especially under sort of compliant, under regulation, going down the compliant route, has different opportunity. Let me give you an example, right, in Hong Kong. So I think people always say in Asia, actually, crypto is more geared towards utility rather than trading. We're seeing lots of institutions. We're talking about really traditional payment companies, traditional exporters, importers, utilizing stablecoin for cross-border settlement. And for those very traditional institutions to come into this space, regulation is very key. Compliance is very key because they are usually licensed in the under Web 2 sense, right? So for them to come into the space with peace of mind, it's very important for them to be sure they're working with someone compliant. So I think that's why we are not going into this with the same mindset like 6 years ago. It's a whole new wave of stablecoin use cases coming up, like especially for Hong Kong, for Asia, around payment, around real-world utilities such as cross-border trade, cross-border settlement, and we're actually, as we speak, it's already happening. There's some data about like a certain quite large percentage of cross-border settlement happening in Hong Kong is already using stablecoin, and I think lots of people are waiting to come in when we have more compliant choices in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So I think it's quite different sort of approach from the first movers. Yeah.
How do you guys see CBDCs? Do you see them as a threat to stablecoins or part of the whole equation? Devin, what do you think?
I do think like CBDCs is more about from the country or city's agenda, but more like about the stablecoin is still they can cover a lot of the ecosystem. They can be like just a currency. But like CBDCs is always linked up to like some governments, some like country agenda about it. But more on this stablecoin, as we see it, is more like flexible. They can actually support many different kind of use cases. But I don't think like the CBDCs can actually achieve that.
Okay, so you don't think that they're going to be as big as stablecoins down the road? They're going to be important, but not like a large part of the equation?
I do think it's more about the adoption.
Okay.
Like if how that CBDCs would enable you to support what kind of the ecosystem. It's indeed just similar to a stablecoin. I think in our agenda we do think we talk about the cross-border payment. So like when we pick the stablecoin for our users to use it, we have to make sure like that stablecoin how they can actually solve some real-world problems. That is very important because we know like the overseas payment, we are not efficient, we are not cheap. So, we see that a stablecoin come here is a real shocker. We can catch this point. But, and the other use cases, as we mentioned in the local one, we can't see a lot of the pain point about the payment right now, as we mentioned about the octopus, how efficient it is already. So it really depends the use cases, and we see it aligned with what the guys say, like cross-border payment should be the number one.
Mm-hmm. What about for Visa? Do you see CBDCs as another payment rail, or how does it work with you guys?
I think we do see them both as complementary in some way. I think stablecoins are probably a little bit ahead in time right now. CBDCs, I mean, apart from a few pilots we've seen, there are no live CBDCs at large scale today. We have been part of the EHKD sandbox for phase 1 and phase 2. So we are in that development phase as well. But I think it's still going to take time, and it's still not clear whether there will be a CBDC for Hong Kong as well. I think
No, it's under development for Hong Kong.
It is, but it's not clear whether they are going to have a final say. That's something at the end of next year we should get an idea whether they will actually launch one or not. So I think that's the way we look at CBDCs. Also, I think CBDCs are going to be more domestic focus, having local currency. Most of the stablecoins today are dominated in US dollars, so there's a more cross-border element there. So that's how we see that.
Well, speaking of which, though, most stablecoins are US dollar denominated. Is that a problem? Is there room for euro stablecoins, perhaps gold, silver, other assets?
So I can jump in on that one. So I think we are launching a Hong Kong dollar one to start with. But you know, like as we all know, the Hong Kong's regulatory regime is currency agnostic. So any currency you want to issue, as long as you're approved. So I think we definitely see a rise of non-US dollar stablecoin simply because if we can bring FX on chain, it will revolutionize the FX market, which is $1 trillion market out there. Right? So there are lots of market makers and exchanges that are pushing towards that direction. And without all the currency denominated stablecoin, out there, you can't really create on-chain FX market. So I think there's definitely opportunity there. And just very quickly on CBDC, I think CBDC, especially for I think in like for example UK, the conversation around CBDC is very much around wholesale level now. They're not talking about retail level CBDC anymore. So I think CBDC is great for use cases such as like government to government, bank-to-bank settlement, right? And we have like all kinds of different initiatives coming out lately. For example, BRICS Pay, right? The BRICS countries want to have a network that have probably the different countries CBDC settle with each other. Bridge, right? Which is an initiative coming out of Hong Kong. So I think CBDC is great for those use cases.
If I can pipe in, and I'm actually a bit more bullish on CBDCs at the international trade wholesale level than I am on stablecoins.
Really? Why is that?
I think even if we think about something like Hong Kong dollar, like a stablecoin Hong Kong dollar is already a peg. Why do we need a peg to a peg?
Yeah. It's a stablecoin.
So now I think though that doesn't mean that these can not exist and coexist. But I think that the use cases will be distinctive. I think CBDCs as part of China's RMB internationalization strategy will be quite pivotal in terms of moving away from a US dollar denominated global market. So I think they can and will be used in the future for international trade settlement, and I would assume that it might be done on a broader scale than stablecoins at that very large transactional volume level.
Yeah.
I think stablecoins have a place to play in terms of the retail usage that we've spoken about, also in jurisdictions where, I mean, Nigeria was the best use case before it got banned, where you have high levels of inflation and volatility, then a stablecoin can be used to minimize that volatility and provide an alternative to some currencies where the government doesn't have the bandwidth to necessarily focus on the development of a CBDC. So I think these things will exist and coexist in the future. And I do think that stablecoins at an institutional level from a crypto perspective will continue to be used by OTC desks, traders as an alternative to fiat on and off ramps. I'd say that's what we've seen since kind of the failure of Silvergate is an emphasis on and almost a preference from traders to just go between stable coins and other crypto assets and kind of not bother with fiat. So I think there's a lot going on. It's a big place to play.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that we'll see both in the future existing.
Yeah, I agree. I think the cake is big enough, and that just two things to add here. I think you know, we cannot ignore the openness of public chain can bring to you know this market. So stablecoin is on public chain, right? For sure, we're going to launch our stablecoin on public chain. CBDCs, I think the probability is relatively low for them to be launched on the public chain. So with openness, what comes is, you know, the power from the mass, right? So you know, we know certain projects, you know, with the CBDCs, you know, there's just no one to make the market, right? So I think that's openness that comes with stablecoin. And secondly, on the currency specifically, so like I said, Hong Kong's regulation regime is currency agnostic. So we are. I think, you know, yesterday there has been some conversation around, like, you know, the possibility of a CNH pegged stablecoin in Hong Kong, and that's going to be super exciting, right? And we're looking into that as well. Yeah, so just 2 cents there. Yeah.
Now, we're almost out of time, but what about yield? It sounds like, you know, with yield, that's a great way to onboard retail users, but then that gets to be so complex with regulations. So looking at that sector, the yield-bearing stablecoins, you know, what's going on there, and what's stopping that from becoming mainstream? Maybe Devin, do you want to start?
In our agenda, we still like stablecoin in our side is not about retailing. It's actually about wholesale, because retailing in stablecoin is, to be honest, a very complicated stuff for them. So like what you mentioned about, like, you know, coming, we talk about the yielding, about how we can use it. We still more on the wholesale agenda.
I think it's great you picked Devin to answer this. You know, yield-bearing stablecoin is literally taking business away from banks.
Yeah.
So
Yes. But for any kind of bank, though, right? Any bank in the world, the clients there, they need yield, they need savings, and so. Go ahead.
So like it's all about tokenize our deposit base, right? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this agenda, we have to say, like, you talk about the yield. And on our side, we keep the deposit here. We do our own balance sheet. So it's all about what kind of stuff we can support for that yield. I mean, like stable coin for them.
Okay, for sure. All right. So I guess last question here. You know, with stablecoins and their growth, what are the challenges right now coming through? Like, what's that one thing that you guys all think about that would really be like the impairment to widespread adoption of stablecoins? Do this quickly. We've got 2 minutes left.
Gives me time to think since
Sure.
I'm last.
Yeah. Okay. How about Visa? You go ahead
Yeah.
first.
I think from a mainstream adoption perspective, I mean, we always talk about user design, user experience. You know, that's what is key, because today, whatever said and done, stablecoins are primarily used by crypto natives. We don't see that mainstream adoption because it's too difficult. I mean, it's too many things to understand. The moment you abstract away all of those technologies and keep it literally as money-to-money payment, that's when stablecoins can win.
So it's a UI UX problem.
I do think so.
What do you think, Devin?
In our side, it's all about the regulatory agenda. It's about how fast it can make it more compliant, regulated, licensed. So it's going to be the next move for us.
What's the one thing you want them to listen to about regulation?
Let's do it fast.
Let's do it fast, quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly, okay. Rita?
yeah, I think actually Priscilla really made great point on the 2 things that I'm concerned about. One is global regulatory landscape evolution. So we're going to see how it's going to play out in different jurisdictions. What will be the regulators' requirement for a stablecoin that's not issued in that region to be to be offered there to the customers in that region. I think that's still yet to play out. That's one thing. And second is that actually also Priscilla mentioned around what would be the AML related risks obligation on the issuer side. I think that's also quite important, quite interesting. There's a lot of discussion around travel rule, for example. So I think that's also quite important. If we can have some clarity soon.
Okay, so clarity. Last word to Bullish.
Last one. I'd say looking over 12 months and from like Bullish's perspective or any crypto exchange, what you see is there's been a large shift from tokenized treasuries into DeFi to get yield, and a lot of that has been using USDT and stablecoins. I think, though, part of that is because DeFi is unregulated, and I think as we see an increased interest by regulators to regulate DeFi, again, you could have knock-on impacts that then, is it going to squash the use, or will there be a new use case that basically appears for some of these large institutional trades?
Let's see what happens. Okay, that was great, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.